All right, so if you have not already clicked on the Google form in the Google Classroom, I'm going to go through our daily check-in. So, first of all, we're going to watch a YouTube video. How many of you have seen Friends before?
Can you really tap dance?
Well,
No.
we're watching it.
Off the resume. Archery?
No.
Horseback riding?
Would fall off a lot.
You can drink a gallon of milk in 10 seconds.
That I can do.
Come on, you can drink a gallon of milk in 10 seconds?
All right, watch me. Okay, you time me. Ready?
Ready, go. You did it!
Alright, so I hope you guys have at least seen Friends before. But if you haven't, Phoebe was originally talking about Joey's resume, and he had put some stuff on there that maybe he exaggerated a little bit. Really, we don't like to exaggerate on resumes. We'll kind of get into it a little bit more down the road, but you guys have three options when you leave high school. That's get a job, go to trade school, go to college. Really, it's four, I guess, or join the military. Or just work. I mean, that's a job too. So, building a resume is going to be a tool for you whether you're doing any of those options. A lot of times, scholarships for college ask for resumes. Anytime you apply for a job, it's going to ask for a resume. And I'm 98% sure they ask for a resume if you go to join the military. I'm not 100% sure on that. But, anyways, you will need a resume at some point in your life. And if you haven't heard about a resume, that is what the purpose of today is going to be. So, a resume is a tool for you to use, okay? A tool for you to use to market yourself, things like that, okay? So again, it's branding yourself. So most of the time, your resume is your first impression with an employer or with a scholarship committee, etc. So just remember your resume is a brand of yourself. Again, first impression for an opportunity, whether that opportunity be a scholarship or a job or anything really, you just want to be prepared with one. So what does one look like? I'm going to show you a few examples. This is one I just pulled off the internet. I blocked out their name. And you can see there they are an administrative assistant at the moment, and it looks like they're applying for an administrative assistant job as well. Over the years, resumes have become more aesthetically pleasing to the eye, kind of made more like a graphic than a word out of a Word document. Not all employers like that, so it's perfectly fine if you don't have any designing skills, like with for example with Canva or something. No worries there. I'll show you mine in a second. There's mine. So mine's just a Word document. I didn't make it quite like this graphic one over here. But I do have, okay, so a resume is a running log, basically. And you're going to edit it every time you apply for something because you want it to fit what you're applying for and also represent yourself. There's no one resume that applies for all. But the point of today and this learning segment is to get your gears turning on what you think you need to do to have a functioning resume. So by the end of this, we're going to build an outline of a resume so that you have at least an outline that you can go by and fit to whatever you're applying for. And then here's another one. I have permission from this person to use this one because it's my mom. And she put a lot of her main things on the left side. So education is always something, we'll talk about this a little bit later. Education is always something you want to put on there. And there's always been a discussion whether or not education should be listed at the top of your resume or not. It really just depends what you're applying for and what you want people to see first. If you do something like she did here, nothing's really first. It's all really like an even playing field. Alright, so what will I need to make one? So here's your supplies and materials. A Word document, or if you don't have a Word document, a piece of paper. It's always good to have some examples in front of you just so you can see what other people have written, how other people have designed them, or how people have organized them. It kind of helps me, so it might help you. The job description or the description of whatever you're applying for. So if it's for a scholarship, find a description of why they made this scholarship, who they're giving this scholarship to, etc. And then when you actually make your resume, if you have the outline that we're going to make by the end of this, it will make creating your resume for whatever you're applying for easier. And then I put possibly Canva, mainly because if you want to make it like a graphic almost, but you don't necessarily have to. So here's a warning. Don't lie on your resumes. You always want to be truthful. So if we go back to Joey's resume, where he said he was an archerist and could chug a gallon of milk in 10 seconds, that's not normally something we'd put on a resume. But two, not something you don't want to exaggerate on your skills. You don't want to exaggerate. You do want to exaggerate, but you want to be truthful. You don't ever want to lie, because if you were to lie on a resume, then show up to whatever you applied for and you didn't know how to do something, but you put on your resume that you knew how to do it, you're not going to last very long there. So just always be truthful. That's your safety warning there. Alright, so steps to create a resume. Research the job you're applying for. So research, like I said earlier, the scholarship, the job, whatever. Find a description, research it, even look into the company or the people who are supplying the money for the scholarship. Read into detail about that. You don't necessarily have to cite your sources on your resume, not that kind of research. Just read into what you're applying for. Learn about their history and products. Number 2, so we always want to be specific. Be clear and concise in your job descriptions. So when you list your work stuff, if you have had a job before. If you haven't, we're going to talk about what you would put in place for that in a second. But if you are listing your past work experiences, you always want to use quality and quantity. So, for example, on mine, under my student teacher prep section, I put how many preps I have. I put a number. I didn't type out the number. I put the number so that anybody who looks at my resume knows how many preps I have and they can see a quantity there. So we always want to be specific, use numbers, be concise. Get right to the point. So we're not going to emphasize too much. If you're applying for a specific job listing, look in the text of the listing to find out what the employers call the position. And then you can also use some wording from your job descriptions. You can use some of that wording. The job description you're applying for, you can use some of that wording on your resume as well, or in your cover letter. We'll talk about that later in this unit. Again, quantify your accomplishments. So employers, scholarship committees are looking for results, so use quantities. Again, when I said about the warning, so we never include job duties on your resume if you cannot follow them up with the result that was produced before. So no chugging a gallon of milk in 10 seconds, because nobody's going to do that. Always use past tense verbs, okay? So follow this rule when writing about your current job. This creates consistency throughout your resume. So, real quick, we're going to go over resume components, and we're going to dive a little deeper into those, and then I'm going to walk you through how I would do an outline for my resume. So we have a contact heading, a career objective, work history, or skills. So if you don't, at this point in high school, if you haven't had a job yet, that's cool. We will list some skills there instead of work history. Education, y'all will put high school. And if you're on a college prep track, you can put that. If you have, we'll get into that in a little bit. And then some optional information like accomplishments, etc. So contact heading. You should always put something that your employer can contact you from. So number one thing, always put your name. Okay. So for me personally, I go by my middle name. I don't go by my first name. So I do not put my first name on my resume. I put my first initial and my middle name so that they'll call me by the name I go by. So if you're like me, do that. You always want to put an address that you can receive mail at. So, for example, if you move away to college, I would not recommend putting your dorm address or anything like that. Or if you go to college, always use your parents' address or your guardian's address or someone you know that gets your mail. A phone number and then an email. And for you guys, you'd be putting your school email right now. And then on this one, they also have a fax number, but if you don't have availability to a fax machine, don't worry about that. Okay, I think my slide skipped one, but it's okay. All right, so career objective. So the point of a career objective, you basically always want to put to obtain a position or something similar in that nature. Where I can. And then use words from the application. Career objectives are a little finicky to write. They're not easy. They're not the easiest part of a resume. So an objective, anytime you hear the word objective, you should always start it with a verb. So to obtain is a verb. So we don't all need to put to obtain, but we can use different verbs like to gain experience, to fulfill, to things like that. This is not what you want to put. My goal is to be an executive, to maximize my multi-layer management assistant. But since I have no skills, quality assurance program training, and being an assistant and then develop training experience, maybe I should try something else. Customer service and a successful track record in the blood banking care environment are not my strong suit. So we're not going to talk bad in our objective. We're going to be positive and not say things like, but since I have no skills. We're not saying that. So work history or skills. If you're putting work history, you always want to start with you want it to go in the most recent to the farthest to longest to your first job or first work experience. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a job. You can put an internship. You can put a volunteer experience here. Anything you would have gained skills. And then if you have not had any work experience or experience in that nature, and this is where you're going to quantify stuff, okay? So like I said, I taught 3 classes or 4 classes. I would put a number. So, here's a bad example. This person just put the company, the place, the name of their position, and then the time frame. So you always want to put a time frame of your experience from each one as well. And then they always put a little blurb or a little general description of what you did, or you can bullet point that too. This person performed AP functions for this 1989 management consultant for Friends Company. Left due to argument with boss. We're not going to put stuff like that in resumes, okay? If you left a job due to a miscommunication or something like that, don't even put that. Just put the year you left. You don't even have to give an explanation, okay? All right, so education, you all will put education, and right now while you're in high school, education can go at the top, okay? So once you have more work experience than you do education, or you are applying somewhere that your work experience matters more than your education, you might want to move it down. It's really personal preference. I keep mine at the top just because I'm a teacher, so most of the jobs I apply for, I'm going to have education to do. So on education, you're going to list the name of school and you're going to list the whole name. So for example, I went to Jefferson High School, so I'd put Jefferson High School. You don't abbreviate. The years attended, or you can put graduation year instead of years attended. Degrees or pathways earned. So once you get a degree from college or technical school, or you get a certification from somewhere, something like that, you would put that on there. And then sometimes your GPA is relevant. If it's good enough for your grandma to see, or your great aunt to see, or I can't think of someone else that would not want to see a bad GPA, I would put it on there. If it's for scholarship, I definitely would put it on there. If it's for a job, you can leave it off. If you're proud of your GPA because you've worked really hard to get that, I would put it on there. 9 times out of 10, let's go ahead and put it on there. For our outline later on, don't put it on there though, because because I'm gonna be looking at them, and I don't care to know your GPA, because I know that GPAs do not truly reflect what kind of student you are. So, other optional information. So, accomplishments and involvement in extracurriculars. So, if you right now play softball, you are in beta club, you are in book club, you're in FFA, you would put those things on there. So I highlighted the accomplishments off of mine. Again, this is college stuff, so not a lot of high school stuff here. But this is just general stuff. If I was applying for a teaching job, I probably would not put all of this on there. But things like if you held a officer position for a team, or you gained an American FFA degree, is always good to put on there. If you were on AB honor roll, if you were a beta club member, again, you could put that there. If you got any other scholarship awards, if you've gotten any other extracurricular awards, you could put that there too. You just don't want your and additional information, involvement awards, stuff like that. You don't want that to be just half your resume. And just a reminder, this should only be a 1-page thing. Some people have 2 pages when they get older, and that's okay. But right now, we're going to stick to 1 page. Alright, so let's build one really quick, kind of together. So I'm going to go back and too far. So for your Okay, it's not letting me. It's okay. For your outline, I want you to go ahead and make a contact heading. So I want you to put your name. So for now, I'm going to put Miss Elliott. I'm going to put a random phone number because I don't want y'all to have my phone number. And then you'll also put an email and you can an address. So let me just this is all I want your outline to be, because again, I just want you to have a framework of something so that you can build a resume later on. Your final project for this unit might be applying for a job or scholarship or something, and at that point you might have to make a resume. But just for today's lesson, I just want you to make an outline. So we have our contact heading done. That will always stay the same on your resume. Alright, so career objective. So one, I need to go research something I would apply for. But if you wanted to make a general one, for me, I'd put to obtain a teaching position in, let me be more specific here, obtain an agriculture teaching position where I can influence the future generation of agriculture and encourage students to always do their best. And then I'd put another sentence probably like, I haven't written a career objective in so long. Actually, you know what? Short and to the point is great. If you can make 2 sentences from a career objective, that'd be great. If you want to make a general, and say if you want to be a doctor, to obtain a position where I would be practicing medicine in a small family doctor practice. Short and sweet and to the point. Work history or skills. So this is where I would put, for an outline, we can just put, so let's talk about skills. So we have soft skills and we have hard skills. Soft skills, typing, communication, verbal communication, nonverbal communication, and then we have hard skills. So we want to put hard skills on a resume. So a skill that you have physically learned from an experience. So let's say, so I learned, let's see. I'm trying to think because I have not put skills on. Here we go. Let's put, so I, as a teacher, know how to develop and implement lessons in basic agriculture class prep. So that would be a skill. Let's put skill here. I also, as a teacher, know how to incorporate classroom, incorporate multiple, because I want to quantify multiple classroom management strategies trying to think of the word. Incorporate multiple classroom management strategies to gain class, to engage students. Okay, so normally you put 2 to 3. Okay, so then after work history or skills, we'll put our education. So let's put, and you also might want to move this to the top. So I attended UGA, so I'm going to put, I'm not going to abbreviate, University of Georgia. Graduated in 2020 with a bachelor's in agriculture. Actually, it's bachelor's of science in agricultural, if I can spell, agricultural education. Okay. So I put my degree earned. If I would have gotten like a certification or on AB honor roll, something like that, I could put that there too. Optional information. So that is where we will put our, I'm going to show you mine again. Just so I don't have to type it. So that is where we'd put our extracurricular activities. And you also want to put some sort of date on there if you can as well. Or it can just be in chronological order. Mine is in chronological order the same way as my work experiences. So it's most recent to not as recent. Except for Dean's List and President's List, I just, because I got it multiple times, I put the multiple times that I've gained it. So if you have any questions at all, please post them in the Google Classroom. Also, I have Zoom hours you can join, and I really just want you to make an outline. I will post details about this assignment in Google Classroom, but I wanted you to see me build one with you and see examples of resumes as well. So, I hope that you have learned the components of a resume, as well as know why it's important. And I want you to take those two things and apply it and create an outline. And later on in the unit, we might expand on it. Haven't fully decided yet. So, have a good day, and please use the Google form to check in, just so I know how you're doing. Okay?